The stars shined brightly against the black void as Ambassador William Carter's ship approached the massive space station. The galactic hegemony headquarters floated like a giant metal flower, with curved petals extending from a central hub. Carter adjusted his formal diplomatic uniform and took a deep breath. This meeting would determine the future of humanity in the galaxy. "We're cleared for docking, Ambassador," said the pilot, Frank Rogers. Carter nodded. "Thank you, Frank. Remember the protocol if things go wrong." Rogers frowned. "Sir, the hegemony has never harmed a diplomat before." "There's a first time for everything," Carter said. "Humanity is pushing boundaries they've never had challenged before." The ship slid smoothly into the docking bay. Carter gathered his digital notes and straightened his shoulders. At 53, he had spent most of his life serving Earth, first as a Navy captain, then as a diplomat. This mission was the most important yet. 6 armed guards met Carter at the airlock. Their blue skin and forearms marked them as Zalorians, known for their strict adherence to rules. "Ambassador Carter, we will escort you to the council chamber," said the lead guard. Carter smiled politely. "I was expecting a diplomatic welcome, not a military one." The guard's face remained expressionless. "Security protocols have been enhanced. Please follow us." The walk through the station revealed its grandeur. Ceiling arches soared overhead, and representatives from hundreds of alien species moved through the corridors. Humans were rare here. Earth had only achieved faster-than-light travel 15 years ago, while some species in the hegemony had been spacefaring for thousands of years. The council chamber doors opened to reveal a semicircular room. 12 representatives sat on elevated platforms looking down at a central speaking area. Carter recognized the insectoid Vrexians with their compound eyes and clicking mandibles. They controlled most of the trade routes and had been the most vocal against human expansion. "Ambassador William Carter of Earth," announced a computerized voice, appearing before the council to discuss human classification status. Carter walked to the center of the room. "Honorable council members, I bring greetings from Earth. We appreciate this opportunity to address our concerns about humanity's Tier 3 classification." The Vrexian representative, Supreme Merchant Kazatak, leaned forward. "Ambassador, your species has been in space for barely a moment. The classification is generous considering your limited development." Carter activated his presentation. Holographic images appeared around him, showing human technological progress. "With respect, Supreme Merchant, humanity has accomplished in 15 years what took most species centuries. Our ships now match mid-tier hegemony vessels in capability. Our colonies are thriving. We've earned at least Tier 2 status." An elderly reptilian council member hissed. "Advancement is not measured by technology alone, but by stability and contribution to the greater community. We've met all trade quotas," Carter countered. "Earth products are now sought throughout the sector. Our art and culture are spreading rapidly." Kazatak's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of irritation. "Your species seeks privileges without proper time to prove itself worthy. The Vrexian Trading Guild particularly notes your disregard for established market zones." Carter kept his face neutral, but inwardly he frowned. The Vrexians had been blocking human trade ships and imposing special tariffs. This was the real issue. Humans were too competitive. "We follow all regulations as written," Carter said. "If there are specific concerns, we should address them directly rather than maintaining an outdated classification that limits our potential contribution." The chamber grew tense. Several council members whispered to each other. Finally, the head of the council, an ancient being of pure energy contained in a special field, spoke. "We will consider your arguments, Ambassador Carter. The council will recess for 1 hour." As the council members filed out, Carter sent a quick encrypted message to his ship. Tensions high. Vrexians particularly hostile. A tall, blue-skinned aide approached. "Ambassador, Supreme Merchant Kazatak requests a private meeting before the council reconvenes. He believes a compromise might be possible." Carter hesitated. Private meetings were unusual but not forbidden. "I would be happy to meet with the Supreme Merchant." The aide led Carter through several corridors to a small meeting room. Kuztak waited inside with two other Vrexians. Ambassador Carter. Kuztak's voice was surprisingly soft. Your presentation was provocative. You must understand that the hierarchies of the hegemony have maintained peace for thousands of years. Carter smiled diplomatically. Change can be difficult but often necessary. Humanity simply seeks fair treatment. Kuztak's compound eyes reflected the room's light. Your species moves too quickly. You disrupt established patterns. Some on the council see this as dangerous. Progress often appears dangerous to those invested in the status quo, Carter replied. The Vrexian's mandibles clicked rapidly. A statement that proves my point. You show no proper respect for ancient institutions. Without warning, 4 armed guards entered the room. They were not the regular Zalorian guards, but Vrexian security forces. What is the meaning of this? Carter demanded. Kuztak rose to his full height. Ambassador William Carter, you are charged with violating Protocol 347B, seditious speech before the council. You will be detained pending review. Carter reached for his emergency beacon. This is absurd. There is no such violation. I demand to speak with my government. One of the guards grabbed Carter's arm. Communication devices are forbidden during detention. Back on Carter's ship, Frank Rogers received an emergency alert. The ambassador's life signs were showing extreme stress. Following protocol, he immediately sent an encrypted message to Earth. Diplomatic emergency. Ambassador Carter detained. For 3 days, Earth demanded Carter's release. Messages went unanswered. Finally, a transmission came from the hegemony. Council, not a response, but a public broadcast to all hegemony worlds. The broadcast showed Carter standing before the full council. His face was tired but determined. William Carter of Earth, announced the council head, you have been found guilty of inciting rebellion against the established order. Such actions from a Tier 3 species representative cannot be tolerated. The Taoi sentences execution to be carried out immediately. Carter stood straight. My death will not intimidate Earth. You do not understand humans if you believe this will force our submission. The broadcast continued as guards led Carter to a small platform. Billions watched across the galaxy as a beam of energy surrounded the human ambassador. His final words were clear. Earth will not forget. Then William Carter was gone, reduced to atoms. The Hegemony Council believed they had delivered a message about human insignificance in the grand scheme of galactic politics. They had no way of knowing they had just triggered a response that would shake the foundations of their ancient empire. On Earth, as the broadcast ended, President Eleanor Walsh stood in the crisis room surrounded by grim-faced military leaders. Her voice was steady as she gave the order that would change the course of galactic history. Implement Operation Shattered Glass. The hegemony has made their choice. Now they will learn about ours. News of Ambassador Carter's execution spread across Earth like wildfire. People gathered in homes, public squares, and workplaces to watch the broadcast again and again. Shock turned to grief, then to anger. For the first time in decades, the nations of Earth stood completely united. President Eleanor Walsh walked into the United Earth Council chamber. Her normally bright eyes were dark with determination. Representatives from every nation stood as she entered. No one spoke. They all knew why they were there. Today we witnessed an act of barbarism, President Walsh said, her voice steady. The galactic hegemony believed that by killing Ambassador Carter, they would teach us our place in their hierarchy. They have gravely misunderstood humanity. The screens around the chamber showed military units worldwide moving to high alert status. Ships were being recalled from peaceful missions. Reserves were reporting for duty without even being called. We extended our hand in friendship, Walsh continued. We followed their rules. We sought peaceful integration into the galactic community. In return, they executed our ambassador to send a message. Now we will send our own. Admiral Gregory Harris entered the chamber. He had been Carter's roommate at the academy decades ago. His face showed no emotion, but his hands gripped his digital tablet tightly. Operation Shattered Glass is ready, Madam President, he said. All commanders await your authorization. The room grew completely silent. Everyone understood what this meant. For 5 years, while publicly pursuing diplomatic relations, Earth had quietly prepared for the possibility that diplomacy might fail. What exactly is our capability, Admiral? Asked the representative from Nigeria. Admiral Harris touched his tablet. The room's central holographic display activated, showing the hegemony's vast territory. Thousands of star systems spanning 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. Then, small red dots appeared throughout the display, hundreds of them, positioned at key locations. Since first contact, we've been sending special ships into hegemony space, Harris explained. Small, stealthy vessels with advanced cloaking technology. They've been mapping the hegemony's infrastructure, studying their systems, and deploying specialized platforms near critical targets. All without detection? Asked China's representative. The hegemony is arrogant, Harris replied. They've had no real rivals for thousands of years. Their security is designed to stop traditional threats, fleets, armies, obvious espionage. They weren't looking for what we sent. President Walsh studied the display. And our response options? Harris highlighted different sections of the map. Operation Shattered Glass has 5 escalating tiers. Tier 1 targets their communication network, transportation hubs, and defensive systems. No direct attacks on populated areas. Minimal casualties. Maximum disruption. And the other tiers? Asked the Russian representative. Let's hope we don't need them, Harris said grimly. Each tier escalates our response if the hegemony fails to negotiate after the previous tier. Walsh looked around the room. I need unanimous consent. This is not a traditional war. Once launched, Operation Shattered Glass will fundamentally change Earth's position in the galaxy forever. One by one, the representatives voted. The result was clear: unanimous approval. Admiral Harris, Walsh said formally, you are authorized to implement Operation Shattered Glass Tier 1. May God help us all. Harris nodded and left the chamber to transmit the activation codes. In a secure facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Colonel Samantha Powell received the authorization. Her Special Forces teams had trained for this mission for years. 50 elite squads, each with 12 operators, all volunteers. This is not a drill, Powell told her assembled commanders. Operation Shattered Glass is active. Primary objectives are capture of Hegemony Council members responsible for Ambassador Carter's execution. Secondary objectives are system disruption, as outlined in your mission files. The soldiers didn't cheer. They understood the gravity of the situation. What they were about to do had never been attempted in human history. A coordinated strike against targets spread across dozens of light years. How long until deployment? Asked Captain Ryan Mitchell, leader of Alpha Squad. 6 hours, Powell replied. The stealth platforms will activate simultaneously across hegemony space. We deploy immediately afterward, using their confusion as cover. In another facility, Dr. Nathan Phillips checked the final code for his specialized cyber warfare systems. For 5 years, his team had studied hegemony network architecture, finding weaknesses, creating backdoors, and designing viruses that could penetrate their systems. Upload complete, his assistant Kelly Patterson announced. All platforms have received the latest package. Phillips nodded. Activate the countdown, on schedule with military deployment. Throughout Earth, similar preparations were underway. This wasn't a traditional military operation with massive fleets and armies. It was something new, a precisely targeted strike using Earth's unique strengths against the hegemony's specific weaknesses. On the hegemony capital world of Raxthos, Supreme Merchant Kizatuk addressed the Commerce Guild. His compound eyes gleamed with satisfaction. The human problem has been addressed, he clicked. Their ambassador's execution will ensure they understand their proper place in the order. Our sources on Earth report their military is mobilizing, but they have no significant space combat capability. They may attempt a foolish strike which we will easily repel, further demonstrating their inferiority. A junior aide approached nervously. Supreme Merchant, we're detecting unusual energy fluctuations near our communication relays in the Orion sector. Kazutak dismissed the concern with a wave of his upper limb. Normal solar activity. The humans are not sophisticated enough to threaten our infrastructure. On the Hegemony Council station, the council head prepared an address to the member worlds. The message would explain why the humans needed to be put in their place, how their rapid advancement threatened the careful balance maintained for millennia. Across Hegemony space, life continued normally. Their vast civilization spanned thousands of worlds with billions of citizens going about their daily activities. None suspected that anything unusual was about to happen. At exactly 0300 Universal Earth time, Operation Shattered Glass began. Simultaneously across 17 key systems, the hidden Earth platforms activated. Trillions of microscopic drones, each carrying specialized electronic warfare payloads, swarmed toward Hegemony communication centers, defense networks, and transportation. Hubs on Earth, President Walsh and Admiral Harris watched as the first reports came in. There was no turning back now. The Hegemony had made their choice when they executed William Carter. Now they would learn what happens when you provoke humanity. Carter always believed we belonged among the stars, Harris said quietly. He just never imagined this would be how we proved it. Walsh nodded. The Hegemony is about to discover that executing one human was the worst mistake they could have made. The first sign that something was wrong came when the main communication relay on Vraxthos went silent. The technicians tried standard restart procedures. Nothing worked. Then reports started coming in from other systems. Their relays were failing, too. Within minutes, 17 key communication hubs across Hegemony space had gone dark. In the Hegemony Central Defense Command, alarms blared. General Vextor of the Zalorian Guard studied the reports with growing concern. How is this possible? He demanded. These failures are happening simultaneously across systems light years apart. His aide's four hands moved rapidly over control panels. Unknown, General. We're also detecting unusual activity in our defense networks. Automated systems are reporting phantom targets, then going offline. General Vextor's blue skin darkened with stress. This is a coordinated attack. Alert the Council and activate all reserve forces. But the communication systems to reach the Council were down. Emergency backup channels were flooded with confusing, contradictory messages. Some reported human fleets approaching. Others claimed internal rebellions were underway. None of these reports were true, but they created exactly what Earth wanted: chaos and confusion. On the stealth platform near the Hegemony capital, Colonel Samantha Powell checked her equipment one last time. Her team of 12 soldiers wore advanced infiltration suits that bent light around them, making them nearly invisible. Alpha team ready for insertion, she said into her secure communicator. Similar reports came in from the other 49 teams positioned throughout Hegemony space. Each had specific high-value targets: council members, military commanders, and the bureaucrats who had specifically approved Ambassador Carter's execution. All teams, you have green light, came Admiral Harris's voice. Operation Shattered. Glass is fully active. Remember, this is not about destruction, this is about precision. Powell's team entered the small stealth craft that would take them to the surface of Vraxthos. Unlike regular ships, these vessels used no traditional engines. They manipulated gravity itself, leaving no energy signature to detect. Our primary target is Council Leader Azaktul, Powell reminded her team. According to intelligence, he'll be in his private chambers preparing an address about the human situation. Captain Ryan Mitchell nodded. What about security? Most of their systems should be compromised by now, Powell replied. Dr. Phillips's drones have been working for the past 20 minutes. Their security sensors will be showing false readings. The journey to the surface took less than 10 minutes. They landed on the roof of the council leader's private residence, a tower of crystal and metal that rose above the capital city. No alarms sounded. No guards appeared. Too easy, whispered Sergeant Olivia Martinez as they cut through the roof access point. Powell nodded. Stay alert. Even with their systems compromised, we might encounter physical guards. They moved silently through the building, their suits' active camouflage adjusting to their surroundings. 2 Zalorian guards stood outside the council leaders, office looking confused as their communication devices showed only static. Powell signaled her team. They fired tranquilizer darts simultaneously. Both guards collapsed without a sound. Inside his office, Council Leader Azaktul, an ancient being of pure energy contained in a special field, was dictating a message. His energy form pulsed with colors, showing his irritation. The human response is insignificant, he was saying. These communication disruptions are merely technical failures that will be resolved shortly. The execution of their ambassador was necessary to maintain proper order in the hegemony. The door slid open. Azaktul's energy field flickered with surprise as Colonel Powell and her team entered. Their camouflage suits deactivated, revealing their human forms. Council Leader Azaktul, Powell said calmly, you are being taken into custody by Earth forces for your role in the illegal execution of Ambassador William Carter. The energy being's field expanded with shock. Impossible! How did you penetrate our defenses? Where are my guards? Captain Mitchell stepped forward, holding a device. Your defense systems are compromised. Your guards are unconscious. You have two choices. Come willingly in this portable containment field, or we shut down your current field and transfer you forcibly. Across hegemony space, similar scenes played out. On 43 different worlds, Earth Special Forces teams captured key hegemony leaders. Some surrendered immediately, shocked by the humans' ability to reach them. Others resisted and were subdued with non-lethal weapons. In orbit around the hegemony's primary shipyard, another team led by Major Alan Shepard deployed specialized drones carrying Dr. Phillips's most sophisticated cyber weapon. The drones attached to the shipyard's main control hub and began transmitting. Inside the shipyard, alarms blared as systems malfunctioned. Automated defense turrets turned on each other. Construction robots received contradictory commands. Power grids cycled on and off rapidly. The shipyard commander, a Vrexian named Klitzak, frantically tried to regain control. Shut down all automated systems, he ordered. Switch to manual control. But it was too late. The virus had spread too far. On the main control screen, a message appeared in all the major hegemony languages. This is Earth's response to the execution of Ambassador Carter. Then the shipyard's self-destruct sequence activated. Warning sirens gave the personnel 5 minutes to evacuate. Thousands of workers rushed to escape pods and emergency shuttles. The shipyard, worth trillions in hegemony currency, and the producer of their most advanced warships was about to be destroyed. Major Shepard watched from a safe distance as the evacuation proceeded. Control, this is shipyard team. Target compromised. Civilian evacuation underway. No casualties reported. Confirmed, shipyard team, came the response from Earth Command. All teams report similar success. Primary objectives achieved at 89% of targets. Back on Earth, President Walsh and Admiral Harris monitored the operation. A large display showed green indicators for successful missions, yellow for partial success, and red for failures. Almost all were green. They never expected this, Harris said quietly. They thought we'd respond with fleets and armies they could defeat. They never imagined we'd strike directly at their leadership while leaving their populations untouched. Walsh nodded. How many casualties? Preliminary reports show 17 hegemony security personnel stunned or tranquilized. 2 received minor injuries resisting capture. No fatalities, Harris replied. And our people? 3 teams encountered. Heavier resistance than expected. 6 injuries reported, none life-threatening. All teams are on schedule for extraction. Across hegemony space, confusion gave way to panic among the ruling elite. Their communication networks were down. Their leaders were missing. Their defense systems were compromised. And no one knew what the humans would do next. On the hegemony, homeworld, junior officials gathered in emergency session. One question dominated their discussions. How had a supposedly primitive species executed such a devastating, precise strike against the most powerful civilization in the galaxy? The answer would change the galaxy forever. 48 hours after Operation Shattered Glass began, an emergency meeting was called on the neutral trading world of Boros. This planet, outside hegemony control, but recognized by all major galactic powers, served as the only possible meeting ground. Earth had requested the meeting and set the terms. In a large stone building designed to accommodate multiple species, representatives of the remaining hegemony leadership gathered nervously. They had spent 2 days trying to understand what had happened. Their communication systems were still down. Their defense network showed false readings. Most troubling of all, 52 of their highest-ranking officials were missing, including the entire council that had approved Ambassador Carter's execution. The doors opened. Dr. Olivia Martinez entered, now serving as Earth's chief diplomat, following Carter's death. Behind her came Admiral Harris and a small security team. The hegemony representatives shifted uneasily in their seats. "Where are our leaders?" demanded Acting Council Member Trazahal, a reptilian who had only recently been promoted to this emergency position. Dr. Martinez sat down calmly. "They are safe and being treated well. Their return depends entirely on today's negotiations." "This is an act of war," hissed a Vrexian representative. Admiral Harris leaned forward. "No. The execution of Ambassador Carter was an act of war. Our response has been remarkably restrained." "Restrained?" The Vrexian's mandibles clicked rapidly. "You've crippled our communication systems, compromised our defenses, and kidnapped our leaders." "With 0 casualties," Harris countered. "We could have deployed more destructive options. We chose precision over devastation." Dr. Martinez opened a data tablet. "We're here to negotiate new terms for Earth's relationship with the hegemony. These terms are non-negotiable, but they are also final. We have no interest in prolonged conflict, or in dismantling your civilization." The hegemony representatives looked at each other, confused by this approach. In their long history, victors typically demanded territory, resources, or permanent subjugation. "What are your terms?" Trazahal asked cautiously. Martinez displayed a holographic document. "First, full recognition of Earth's sovereignty and equal status within the galactic community. Second, all restrictions on human trade and expansion to be removed immediately. Third, a public acknowledgement of the illegal execution of Ambassador Carter with formal apologies and reparations to his family." The representatives were surprised by the simplicity of the demands. They had expected much worse. "That's all?" Trazahal asked. "There's more," Martinez continued. "A complete restructuring of the species classification system. No more arbitrary tiers based on longevity and space. All species to be evaluated on current capabilities and contributions." This caused more concern among the representatives. The tier system had kept many species under hegemony control for centuries. "Impossible," said the Vrexian. "The entire structure of the hegemony is based on the classification system." Harris smiled thinly. "Perhaps it's time for that structure to evolve. You either adapt or you face extinction. That's something humans understand very well. In a secure facility on Earth, President Walsh received updates on the negotiations while visiting the injured Special Forces personnel. Only 6 humans had been hurt during the operation, all with minor wounds. "You make us proud," she told a soldier with a bandaged arm. "Your precision has saved countless lives on both sides." The soldier nodded. "It was strange, Madam President. They never expected us. Their security was designed to stop armies, not small teams. It's like they forgot how to think creatively after all those years of dominance." "That's their weakness," Walsh replied. "They believe age equals wisdom. They forgot that necessity drives innovation." Meanwhile, on hundreds of hegemony worlds, the public was learning what had happened through emergency broadcasts. Many citizens were shocked that humans had penetrated their defenses so easily. Others were secretly impressed. On the Vrexian homeworld, crowds gathered in the streets. The Vrexians had been the strongest supporters of Carter's execution. Now they feared human retaliation against their population. But no attack came. No human forces appeared in their skies. Instead, public screens throughout the city displayed a message from President Walsh. "Earth's quarrel is not with the people of the hegemony, but with leaders who believed they could execute our diplomat without consequences." Back on Boros, the negotiations continued. The hegemony representatives slowly realized they had no real choice. Their defense systems were compromised. Their leadership was in human custody. And the precision of Earth's strike had demonstrated a technological sophistication they had not believed possible. If we accept these terms, Trashal asked, what guarantee do we have that humans won't simply take control of the hegemony? Dr. Martinez's expression remained composed. Because that's not who we are. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We simply want our place in it. Had you welcomed us as equals from the beginning, none of this would have been necessary. Admiral Harris added, Ambassador Carter believed in peaceful coexistence. His last words were, Earth will not forget. We haven't, but we also haven't forgotten his vision of humanity's role in the galaxy. After 12 hours of discussions, the hegemony representatives reluctantly agreed to Earth's terms. A new treaty would be drafted, formally recognizing Earth's sovereign status and restructuring the classification system that had defined galactic politics for millennia. As the meeting concluded, Dr. Martinez made one final point. The captured council members will be returned gradually as the treaty provisions are implemented. They will face no further punishment beyond the time spent in custody. That's unusually merciful, Trashal noted. Justice, not vengeance, Martinez replied, another concept Ambassador Carter believed in strongly. As Earth's delegation prepared to depart, Admiral Harris received an urgent message from Earth. He showed it to Martinez, whose eyes widened slightly. It seems, she told the hegemony representatives, that several other lower-tier species have learned of these events and are requesting similar recognition. The galaxy is changing faster than any of us anticipated. On their ship returning to Earth, Martinez looked out at the stars. William would be proud of what we've accomplished, she said quietly, though not how we had to do it. Harris nodded. The hegemony still doesn't fully understand what happened. They keep looking for the fleet, the invasion force. They can't grasp that we beat them without traditional warfare. They will, Martinez replied. The question now is what kind of galaxy we help build from here. 6 months passed. The Grand Hall on the neutral world of New Geneva buzzed with activity as representatives from across the galaxy gathered. This day would mark the official signing of the treaty that many now called the Carter Accords. The hall had been specially designed for the occasion, with areas suitable for all known intelligent species. In the center stood a large round table made from woods of 100 worlds, symbolizing the new equality being established. President Eleanor Walsh entered, wearing formal diplomatic attire with a small pin showing Earth's blue and green sphere. Behind her came Admiral Harris and Dr. Martinez, along with representatives from every Earth nation. The crowd quieted as they took their places. From the opposite door came the newly reformed Hegemony Council. Most of the former council members had been replaced following their return from Earth custody. Council leader Azak Tool had resigned. His energy form dimmed with shame after his capture by Colonel Powell's team. In his place stood Trashal, who had led the emergency negotiations and proven more open to change than his predecessors. Today marks a new chapter in galactic history, President Walsh began. 6 months ago, a terrible injustice was committed when Ambassador William Carter was executed for simply advocating for his people. That day changed everything. Trashal stepped forward. The hegemony acknowledges its grave error. For too long, we believed age and tradition were substitutes for wisdom and justice. The humans have taught us otherwise. Around the chamber stood representatives from dozens of formerly lower-tier species. Many had spent centuries under hegemony restrictions. Now, under the new treaty, all would be evaluated based on current capabilities rather than time and space. The Carter Accords establish not just peace between Earth and the hegemony, continued Dr. Martinez, but a new framework for all species. No more arbitrary classifications. No more limitations based on history rather than ability. The formal treaty was displayed on screens throughout the hall, its key provisions scrolled for all to see. First, full recognition of Earth's sovereignty and equal status. Second, the dismantling of the tier classification system. Third, the establishment of a new galactic council with rotating membership from all recognized spacefaring species. Fourth, formal acknowledgement of the illegal execution of Ambassador Carter, with apologies and reparations to his family. President Walsh and Trashall pressed their hands to the document simultaneously, formally activating its provisions. Applause filled the hall, especially from the formerly lower-tier species. For them, this moment represented liberation from centuries of restrictions. After the ceremony, Admiral Harris stood alone by a large window overlooking the gardens of New Geneva. Dr. Martinez joined him, holding 2 glasses of celebration drink. "2, William," she said quietly, offering 1 glass. Harris took it and nodded. He would hardly recognize the galaxy now. 6 months, and everything has changed. "Not everything," Martinez replied. "The Vrexians still protest the new arrangements. They've lost the most under the treaty." The Vrexians, who had pushed hardest for Carter's execution, now found their commerce guild stripped of special privileges. Many trade routes previously under their exclusive control were now open to all species. "They'll adapt or they'll fade," Harris said. "That's the lesson they need to learn." Across the hall, Colonel Samantha Powell, now General Powell after her promotion, spoke with delegates from a reptilian species previously classified as Tier 4. Their gratitude was obvious. "For 300 years, we were restricted to our home system," the reptilian delegate explained. "Now our ships travel freely, all because humans showed the hegemony could be challenged." Powell shook her head. "We never wanted to challenge anyone. We simply wanted fair treatment. That's what makes humans different," the delegate replied. "You fought not for dominance but for equality." On Earth, the news of the treaty signing was met with solemn satisfaction. The public squares that had once filled with angry crowds now hosted memorial services for Ambassador Carter. His face appeared on screens worldwide as people reflected on how one man's death had transformed humanity's place in the stars. In a small ceremony at the newly established William Carter Memorial Diplomatic Academy, his family gathered with close friends. Carter's widow, Karen, unveiled a statue of her husband. Beside her stood their daughter, Michelle, now training to become a diplomat herself. "My father believed in communication, not confrontation," Michelle told the small gathering. "While he would be troubled by the events his death set in motion, I think he would be proud of the peace we've established." Karen placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder. "He always said humanity belonged among the stars. He just never imagined the path we'd take to claim our place." Back on New Geneva, as the celebrations continued, a small group of representatives from Earth and various alien species gathered in a private room. They were discussing the future beyond the treaty. "The galaxy has existed in stasis for too long," said Dr. Martinez. "The hegemony maintains stability, but at the cost of progress. Humans bring change wherever they go." Noted a glowing energy being similar to the former council leader. "Some find this frightening." "Change is necessary for growth," replied President Walsh. "The question is how we manage that change." They discussed new cooperative ventures, scientific exchanges, and cultural programs that would help unite the diverse species of the galaxy. This was the true legacy they hoped would emerge from the crisis, not just a new political arrangement, but a genuinely integrated galactic community. As the meeting concluded, Admiral Harris made a final observation. "The hegemony executed William Carter to silence humanity. Instead, they amplified our voice across the galaxy." 3 days later, on the distant world of Vraxthos, the former hegemony capital, citizens gathered in the central plaza. A small monument was being installed, a gesture from the new council. The simple stone marker read in multiple languages, "In memory of Ambassador William Carter of Earth. His unjust death revealed the flaws in our civilization. His legacy guides us toward a more equitable future." The execution meant to intimidate. Earth had instead transformed the galaxy. Ambassador William Carter had achieved in death what might have taken centuries through traditional diplomacy. His name would be remembered not just on Earth but on thousands of worlds across the galaxy, as the catalyst for a new era of interstellar relations. As ships from Earth and dozens of other worlds traveled freely through formerly restricted space, They carried with them the message that had emerged from tragedy. True strength comes not from domination, but from the courage to stand for equality and justice.